Moment. Oh,
Hey,
hello.
hello, happy Saturday.
I know. Happy Saturday to everyone.
How's it
Awesome.
going?
It's nice after traveling last weekend to have kind of a little bit more of a chill weekend. You look like
Mhm.
you got some sun. Were you at the
I
beach?
definitely got some sun. We went out to Catalina Island
Nice.
yesterday. It was nice and sunny. I
Cool.
definitely got sun. Yeah, yeah.
Cool, cool,
It'll
cool.
turn it'll turn tan in 5 minutes.
There you go. There you go. All right. So today we're going to talk about the like archetypes and shadow and light attributes of of the archetypes, because every single archetype has light attributes or enlightened attributes,
hmm
versus kind of shadow attributes, which are unenlightened attributes, like, or attributes that are in your subconscious that you may not necessarily, you may see the ripple effect within your life, but you might not be necessarily aware of how those specific attributes are, um, affecting cycles within your life.
Yeah, yeah, and they're kind of like, um, I think that's why it is called shadow because they're under the surface, so they're like nagging at you to pay attention, and they're coming up as like not so great things,
Mm-hmm.
a little destructive.
Yeah, yeah, uh, and prohibitive, and like some people
hmm
describe them as blockages,
Yep.
or things that they're struggling with, lessons that they're on a merry-go-round with.
hmm
I've definitely heard people
Feel,
speak about that.
yeah, feeling
Um,
stuck. Yep. Why is this
exactly.
happening to me? Why does this keep happening to me? Why is it
Hmm.
always? Why is it never? Like
Yeah, yeah, all
when
of
we
those
use that
kinds
kind
of
of
things.
language. Yeah.
All of those kinds of things. So let's talk a little bit about work, like doing shadow work with specific archetypes. Like once you have identified an archetype, let's just take Saboteur, for example,
Okay.
because I feel like I have some examples to share with regard to that one.
Oh,
Um,
don't we all?
yeah, exactly. So, I think the first thing is it's identifying your saboteur, right? Finding out
Mhm.
where your saboteur is within your particular archetypical
Typical.
chart. Yep.
hmm
And then finding out, you know, where that saboteur kind of has harmonious energy flow,
hmm
which could be harmonious shadow energy flow, or harmonious enlightened energy flow.
Yeah.
Um, so I think saboteur is like a good one to.
Yeah. So it is. It's a really good one that you chose. So the saboteur is our guardian of choice, and each archetype is completely neutral in its own, like when it's in a bubble, right? Like
Mhm.
when we're born, it's neutral until it starts getting some experiences and learning and unlearning, and then it's changing as we live. Um, and I think with the saboteur, it's important that we remember that we always have choice, right?
Mhm.
Even if we believe in like everything is written, everything is predestined,
Everything's
or
faded.
yeah, we still have some type of choice, right? There's still the choice of how do you show up. There's still the choice of what attitude are you going to have. There's
Mhm.
still, right? There's still choice within that. And I am a big believer in co-creating.
Mhm.
And so even when I'm believing that things are pre-written to a certain extent and I believe in contracts, I do believe that we have choice to change those things on a regular basis and to create the kind of experience that we want. So if we're living in a way that we're not very satisfied with, there is a certain percentage that the saboteur is playing in creating that experience. So even if we're not consciously making choices that are feeling not so great in our lives, we are subconsciously making those choices to create contrast of what it is we do not want in our lives.
And sometimes like that coming to conscious awareness, what I don't want, is part of what acts as the impetus to discover what it is that you do want.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
And then the choices part, you know, I guess one thing I want to touch on is there's a difference between living with choices that you're making unconsciously, and then there's a difference between consciously making choices. Because even if you're going to end up at like this post and that post in 5 years or in 4 years or in 2 days or whatever, you know, the way that you approach decisions that are either supporting moving you in that direction or making choices that don't move in that direction. And not making a choice is a choice.
Making a choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not doing anything, like kind of waiting for things to arrive. That is a choice.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think we've all heard, like, why do you keep sabotaging yourself? At some point in our lives, right? We keep doing, and it starts very little, right? Like at a very young age, we'll see kids where they're trying, like my son will try something like, you know, building a Lego and really struggling with it. And I'm watching from outside. I'm like, you're making it harder on yourself than it should be. But even if I offer my help, sometimes it's like, no, right? And so sometimes we need to experience that difficulty in order to move through it, in order to learn from it, in order to see that we can do things even when they're hard. We can do things, right? Like there is a piece of enlightenment that comes in within that struggle.
Yeah.
Right.
From the experience. And then from that experience, then it's like the next choice is, am I going to learn that same that same lesson again? Am I going to have that lesson reinforced? Am I going to choose to move forward and go on to a new lesson? And I think sometimes I know for me, there's been these points in these periods where it's there's this hesitation to go forward, you know, like because I know there's something different forward, and
sometimes that's so scary, right? When we know something is going to be different, we know something is going to change for us, it can be really terrifying because we're very comfortable in our current patterns, in our current energy. Even if it sucks and even if we don't like it, we know what it is. It's familiar.
Right. And I think that's the thing with working with the enlightened saboteur versus shadow saboteur, you know, energy, and it can bolster you to, despite, you know, the fear, the hesitation, the uncertainty, the unfamiliarity that can exist, it can bolster you. You know, it's like creating like a support system around you. And so that's, for me, why working with archetypes has been such a powerful tool. And I think early on too, for me, the shadow work with archetypes was so powerful and so transformative.
To then ask those questions is like, what is my saboteur saying? Why is she doing this? What is she wanting from me? what's the struggle here? What if it was easy? Like,
Right.
what if this was easy?
Yeah.
Then what would that look like? What would that mean?
What
would
are
it mean
her
to me?
needs?
Yeah. So asking those questions and really sitting with them and, discovering it, like discovering for yourself, what does that mean to you? And it's going to be individual. Each person's going to have different answers to those questions.
For sure. And I think, like just bringing up those questions that you just talked about, I've had situations where I've sat with those questions for like 5 days and like every day asked the question, revisited the question. I've also had time periods where I've needed to sit with that question twice a week for 3 or 4 months and revisit. So it's a process of discovery and increased awareness.
Yes. Yeah. And I think when we start seeing it, then we can bring it into like our everyday experience. Like for me, I had an experience yesterday, and I know, like, I came home, I spent the whole day with this experience, and then I came home, I was going which one it was, and I sat with it. I read a little bit about it. I asked her questions like, where is this coming from? What is my agenda here? What am I wanting? Like you said, what are your needs? To look at, am I coming at the situation from an enlightened place or from a shadow place?
Yeah.
Am I trying to harm or am I trying to heal?
Right.
Am I trying to heal myself or others?
Right. And asking those questions and like even paying attention to, like what you just said, as far as, am I coming from an enlightened place? Am I coming from a place of shadow? Even beginning that process of asking yourself that question in a variety of scenarios, grocery store interactions, dinners with friends, interacting with family members, driving on the road, at work, writing emails, like all of those kinds of activities that, we all do to varying degrees. And asking yourself that question in all of those scenarios can really help you begin to grasp, like, is this coming from a place of shadow, or is this coming from an enlightened, like, is this coming from enlightened saboteur? Is this coming from, from shadow saboteur? Is this coming from my guardian of choice, aka enlightened saboteur?
Yeah.
I'll get it, or I really will. I will.
I know.
It's so funny. It's so funny. All right. Does anyone have any questions about this topic?
Oh, we got some people. Hi.
Yeah, we got some
people.
So does anybody have any questions about archetypes or saboteur or enlightened versus shadow? Just give folks an opportunity to ask questions if they have any.
It'll be fun. It's always good to answer. It's easier to answer people than come up with the topics by ourselves.
Right. Well, we can also answer each other. Just saying.
What I'll say is that if you're curious about this topic, our archetype workshop is starting July 22nd, and the first level is going to be about the saboteur, the victim, and the prostitute, and where they are on your natal chart and how they are working in your lives, how they are maybe like destructing your life a little bit, and how they can support you. And so if you're curious, DM us and we'll send you a link with all the information, or you can check it out in our link trees. All the info is there. Those are going to be really cool. They're going to be super cool workshops. And through the month of June, we have a promotion going on with $100 off for those 3.
There you go. Yeah. And then I guess the last thing that I will mention is that tomorrow we have our free vision statement workshop. So if you're interested in doing any vision work, or if you have done vision work and you just want to kind of dip in and re-clarify, the vision statement workshops have been really wonderful for folks. Last week we had a great group of participants, and it was really, really nice to just have people kind of share, what they do with their vision statement, how they work with it. And then we also had a lot of really, really great questions. So I would encourage you to, to think about, if you're available tomorrow night, to think about joining our free vision statement workshop.
Yeah, that would be great. It would be great to see you.
Cool.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. Well,
Let's
have a great day,
your
everyone.
Saturdays.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello. Let's see. I'm gonna add or in.
Will be joining us in just a moment. There you go.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. Happy Saturday.
I know. Happy Saturday to everyone.
How's it going?
It's going. It's nice after traveling last weekend to have kind of a little bit more of a chill weekend. You look like you got some sun. Were you at the beach?
I definitely got some sun. We went out to Catalina Island yesterday. It was